All right, 7 o'clock. Guess we can get started, right? All right, so this meeting will be recorded to be on the record.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'd like to call the May 20th Zoning Board of Appeals meeting to order. This time, I actually have a flag in my office, so if we'll say the pledge, feel free to stand up and say along with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. So this is a new format that we're going to try to get through. It's actually the second time that we'll be having one of these online meetings. So we'll be listening to the meetings in the order that they're listed. So we'll go through these applications in the order they're listed. So I'm going to do a roll call, and at that point, please just unmute yourself and identify that you're here. And then I also ask that if you're not speaking, or it's not your application, or you're not listening, you're not going to contribute to the application that we're actually hearing at that point in time, please mute your microphones. And then during the process, I will ask if, when we open your application, you can unmute, please unmute yourself. During each application, we'll ask if anybody from the audience or public wants to be heard. And at that point, unmute yourself and just identify yourself. We'll have to take down some information to identify your standing. And at that point, I think we're missing out. Everybody will be sworn in. And we will poll the board on all voting. During the meeting, we'll hear we'll open the application, hear your application. We run through a secret vote, and then we will actually vote on your application. And at that point, whether it is approved or denied, you can actually drop off the meeting if you're so inclined, unless you want to wait around for another another application. Sorry. So at that point, I'd like to take a roll call. So is applicant KJ Rock here? KJ Rock? Anybody representing KJ Rock?
I think you got to unmute everybody first. Some people are muted.
Oh, there he is.
Do we know? Do you know who is representing them?
I thought Mr. Ruggiero was here.
Sorry?
I have Richard Ramsey as the contact person, but I thought Mr. Ruggiero was representing him. I saw him on before, but I could be confused.
So is that Joseph Ruggiero?
That's who I thought he was representing the applicant. Can you talk?
So Joseph, if we're not able to hear you, there's actually a chat feature in the go-to meeting. If you could send a chat, or if you can call Denise. Denise, what's your phone number again for everybody?
845-304-4880.
All right, so we'll just hang on to that. If he's able to get on, we'll just push him down the order. So Maroney, is Maroney here?
I am here.
Okay, what's your first names?
First name is Mike. Last name is Maroney. Isn't this spelled on the app? Morony.
Gotcha. Thank you. McAndrew?
Applicant McAndrew here, Mike McAndrew and Susan McAndrew.
Great, thank you. Wiley.
Yeah, that's me. Just for the record, it's Ben Wiley. There's no Tom.
Great. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
And Valentine.
Pierre Levesque representing Valentine.
Great. Thanks, Q.
And guys, this is Joseph Ruggiero. I want to see if you could hear me now. I called in with the phone audio.
Got you, Joseph. Thank you.
All
All
right,
right. You're representing KJ Rock.
that is correct.
Great. Thanks. All right. At this point, I'd like to make a motion to open the application for KJ Rock.
Second?
That's Patricia. And then to pull the board, Dan Sullivan, yes. Tricia, it's a yes.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Tom? Tom?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Bob? Rob,
Yes.
sorry. Okay, Debbie, you're up.
I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate and several letters of correspondence. The first dated March 19th, 2020 from the Rockland County Department of Planning. And they approve the following additional comment is simply as an observation and is not part of our general municipal law review. The board may have already addressed this point or may disregard it without any formal vote under the GML process. A note should be placed on the bulk table that states a variance is required for the on-roof steps due to them exceeding 16 square feet and being more than 2 feet above grade. Signed, Douglas J. Schutz, Acting Commissioner of Planning. Then I have a letter dated March 25th, 2020 from the Rockland County Sewer District Number 1, and they do not object to the plan as shown. The project does not affect any sanitary sewers within the district. This is signed by Joseph Lafiandra, Engineer 2. And then I have a no comments at this time sign off from the Rockland County Highway Department from Dion Residuham, PE. And that's it for correspondence on this project.
Okay. So Joseph Ruggiero, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Patricia.
This is ZBA 20-28, application of KJ Rock for a variance from zoning code, chapter 43 of the town of Orangetown code, chapter 43 RG district, section 5.221, steps over 16 square feet, over 2 feet above grade requires a variance for a wall and steps at an existing single-family residence. Premises are located at 11 Goswick Court, Spark Hill, New York, and identified on the Orangetown tax map as section 77.08, block 5, lot 36.4 in the RG zoning district. So, Mr. Ruggiero, could you explain what it is that brings you here this evening and what it is you'd like to do?
Yes, this is a new construction home. Just given the size of the lot, we're constrained to a 43-foot wide house to stay within the required side yards. This brought us towards a drive-under garage. At that, to maintain the drive-under garage, we have a large retaining wall. In order to access the rear yard without having to walk through the house or around the entire property line, we've got a staircase that lets you from the back of the driveway up into the yard, and that is what is in question here.
Okay, now these were not originally on the plans?
This was on the plan. When we had submitted the plans to the town for approval, they had kicked it back saying that we need a variance for this staircase.
Okay.
You can see this, if you go down, I believe it's the second to last page on the site plan, you see this staircase at the back side of the property.
And the house is under construction right now, is that correct? It's there today?
No, we have not been granted the permit yet. We need the zoning board before we can go to Akabar.
Okay. I have no other questions, Dan.
If you go up, go to the previous page, you can see it there as well. That's the staircase at the back of the driveway by the retaining wall. Yes.
Okay, does anybody from the zoning board have any further questions on this?
I don't.
Okay. Does anybody from the public wish to be heard at this time? Please just unmute your microphone and speak up. We'll just ask 3 times to make sure that everybody gets a chance to be heard. Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? Hearing none, if there's no further questions from the board, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Mike, second. All in favor, Dan Sullivan, yes. Mike? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Rob?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And Patricia?
Yes.
Okay. Based upon the testimony heard by this board and the facts presented in the aforementioned application, submissions and in the records, these applications are exempt from environmental review under the state of Environmental Quality Review Act pursuant to SECRA Regulation 617.5, subparagraph C, subparagraph 11, subparagraph 12, 16, and or 17. So I make a motion that we move that this is why did I just mess that up? I make a motion that we say that this is a secret based on what was aforementioned.
Second.
Okay. Thanks, Patricia. All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Patricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Okay. And Patricia, would you like to make a motion on this application?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve the variance requested by KJ Rock for the steps, which are over 16 feet and 2 feet above grade, the back of the house. All right, there's really cannot achieve the benefit in any other way. There is no undesirable change to the neighborhood. It's really not substantial. And there will be no adverse effect to the neighborhood.
Tom, second.
Great. All in favor, Patricia?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And Dan Sullivan? Aye. Great. Thank you, Joseph. Have a good evening. Thanks for your patience on this.
Thank you very much for your help. I appreciate it.
Have a
good
nice
evening.
evening.
All right, have a good night.
All right, make a motion to open Maroney.
Second.
All in favor? Dan Sullivan, aye. Patricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And Rob?
Aye.
Great. All right, Debbie? Debbie? Debbie, did we lose you?
She's there.
See her. Debbie? Debbie, are you there? We need a clerk, don't we?
I'll call.
Can you hear me now?
There you go, yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay, I think it came out of the plug. I plugged it back in. I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate and a memo from the Rockland County Department of Planning dated March 2nd, 2020, stating that the application is not within their purview to review, not in their jurisdiction, and a letter dated March 25th, 2020 from the Rockland County Sewer District, which does not object to the plan as shown, signed Joseph LaFiandra, Engineer 2. And I have a lot of pictures that were submitted from the applicant of houses in the area that are have had addition. They're all online. One is for 15 Gazaza Place. I have, I think this one is Maroney's house. 159 South Road, 49 Villa, 98 South Road, 16 Duhame, 104 South Road, 22 Duhame, and 28 Duhame. They're all houses that have had additions. So you're showing the pictures, okay. That's it for correspondence from this.
Great, thank you. Mike Maroney, do you swear and or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Great, thank you. Mike.
ZBA number 20-29, application of Michael Maroney for variances from zoning code chapter 43 of the town of Orangetown code chapter 43, R15 district. Group M, columns 4, floor air ratio, and 12 building height. Section 5.21, undersized lot applies for an addition to an existing single-family residence. The premises are located at 21 Duham Road, Pearl River, New York, and identified on the Orangetown tax map and section 69.10, block 1, lot 36 in the R15 zoning district. Ms. Maroney, you want to give us a little indication of what it is, the variance you're looking for?
Well, the square footage of the proposed house exceeds the 20% rule. On the application, I believe it says 2733, but I would point out that includes the existing freestanding detached garage. So the house itself is not that big. The reason I submitted the other pictures of the houses in the neighborhood is just to show that, you know, the house is consistent with what other people have done. The lots in that area are undersized, but I wanted to keep within the town's guidelines of the 15-foot on either side, as well as the front footage from the street. So took great pains with the architect to try and meet those criteria, but we did go over the floor area ratio and exceeded the height, and that's why I'm applying for the 2 variances.
Ms. Maroney, can you explain when you started off with the floor, the square footage? I kind of missed that.
The application says, I believe, the total square footage is 2,733 square feet, but that does include, and my architect told me that I had to include the existing garage that you can see now on that, which is just southeast of that pool, right there. So that's almost 300 square feet, that existing garage. So the total is really not 2,700 square feet. It's closer to 23 and change. It does stay within all of the side yard and front yard zoning laws. And I have shown the plans to not all of the neighbors, but some of the neighbors since I've been over there. I haven't gotten any objections, at least verbally.
Gotcha. So essentially a 3-bedroom house that you can live in.
Single family house.
There you
Dan, the site plan shows the floor area ratio to start out with was 0.08. And he's going to 0.26. So it was a tiny, tiny house.
go. Yep. And,
The existing house right now consists of a living room, a kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom.
wow.
Yeah, it's one of the older ones, typical of the size and when they were built in that area.
I mean, I think within 2 to 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 houses, similar houses, have been basically demolished and like new houses put up. Those
Yeah,
are
I
the
think,
houses that I submitted the photographs of.
yeah, I think we had a neighbor of yours. Is that? All right. Mike, any further questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Does anybody else from the board have any questions?
No.
Anybody from the public wish to speak on this application? Anybody from the public have anything to say on this application? Does anybody from the public have anything to say on this application? Hearing none, there's no other questions from the board. Make a motion to close.
A second.
Rob, second. All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Rob,
Aye.
Mike,
All right.
Tom,
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Let's see if I can get this right. I make a motion that based upon the testimony heard by this board and the facts as presented in the aforementioned application submissions and in the records, these applications are exempt from environmental review and the state environmental quality review. I pursuant to secret regulation 617.5, so paragraph C, so paragraphs 11, 12, 16, and or 17. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Second.
Tricia? All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Patricia? Mike?
All right.
Tom?
Aye.
And Rob?
Aye.
Great. Mike, would you like to make a motion on this application?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application of Mike Maroney, ZBA 20-29 for the variance requested. It's very minimal amount and it's an undersized lot in which he still kept with the variance side yard variances and front yard variances, which wasn't easy to do in this application. And I think that it fits the neighborhood and the multiple homes that have been renovated and upgraded in this area.
Second.
All in favor, Mike?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Dan Sullivan, aye. Rob?
Aye.
And Tom?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Good luck, Mike. Mr. Maroney, have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay. Like to make a motion to open McAndrew.
Second.
Rob, second. All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Rob?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Thank you. Debbie? Plug it in, Debbie.
Mike helps, huh? I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate and several letters of correspondence from abutting property owners. All these letters are dated March 1st, 2020, and it's It's the same letter. I'm going to read who it's from at the end. Dear board members, we are aware that Michael and Susan McAndrew are requesting board approval for variances in order to complete the addition and renovations of their property at 43 Yale Terrace. Michael and Susan have spoken to us about their project, and we believe that their work will add substantial value to the neighborhood. In addition, we believe that their home will be aesthetically pleasing, and without the variances, they will be unable to complete the work to 43 Yale Terrace. Therefore, at this time, we ask that you approve the request for the variances proposed. Very truly yours, Mr. and Mrs. John Pacey, 39 Yale Terrace, Blauvelt, New York. Mr. and Mrs. Keith Moore, 47 Yale Terrace, Blauvelt. Mr. and Mrs. Brian Camilleri, 46 Yale Terrace. Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs. Scott Skura, 42 Yale Terrace. And then I have a letter dated March 1st, 2020. Dear board members, nearly 7 years ago, we became owners of the property located at 43 Yale Terrace in Blauvelt. Since that time, our appreciation of our town, our neighborhood, and our neighbors has grown. We have welcomed new owners to the block and have witnessed many great changes to it. These changes have added both beauty and value to the neighborhood. At this time, we are looking to add to that beauty and value by renovating and building an addition to our property. In order to do properly do so, we are requesting board approval of variances that would allow work to begin and complete this addition. We are respectful and responsible property owners and firmly believe that this project will result in adding value to the neighborhood as well as being aesthetically pleasing to our neighbors. Therefore, we ask that you approve the request for variances at 43 Yale Terrace in Blauvelt. Signed, Mr. and Mrs. Michael McAndrew. And then I have a letter. I don't have a date on it, but if I do, I can't find it. Anyway, this is a statement for ZB application 20-30 to 43 Yale Terrace addition, Blauvelt. We are owners of 47 Yale Terrace, the abutting and only property that will be affected by granting of proposed variances. We would like to state that we are not against approval of proposed variances, but would like our concerns addressed if the zoning board grants approval. We are specifically concerned about column 9, minimum side yard setback, being reduced to 11.37 feet. Most property side yards abut each other and are seldom used due to narrow width. In our case, the side yard of 43 Yale Terrace abuts the backyard of our property at 47 Yale Terrace. So the structure is much closer than normal backyard setbacks. Presently, the paved driveway at 43 Yale Terrace is only a couple of feet off property line, and they have attached photos. They're online if it says see photo 8. I think. Anyway, if the zoning board grants variance approvals, we request the following be considered as conditions of approval. 1, the existing 6-foot-high PVC solid privacy fence between the two properties, see photo B, be extended in kind from where it currently stops to a point just past the proposed building addition. Fence should be installed to existing tree buffer in photo C. The 6-foot-high fence be installed prior to building work commencing, as I have 2 young boys who play in our backyard area. This is a safety concern. 3, the 2 large buffer trees between our properties towards Yale Terrace, see photo C, be left in healthy condition and not pruned to the point of having an adverse effect to tree health. These trees currently are on our property, providing a large buffer, but branches do overhang onto 43 Yale Terrace. Our concern is that they will be pruned to the point of no return, leaving us with additional costs of removal and a void where a natural vegetative buffer existed. Thank you for your above consideration. Keith and Jessica Moore, 47 Yale Terrace. And that's it for correspondence.
Thanks, Debbie. Mike and Susan, do you swear and or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And Susan?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. This is ZBA number 20-30, application of Michael McAndrew for variances from zoning code chapter 43 of the town of Orangetown code R15 district group M, section 3.12, columns 4, floor area ratio 20% permitted, 25.7% proposed. 9, side yard, 20 feet required, 11.37 feet proposed. And 10, total side yard, 50 feet required, 36.55 feet proposed for an addition to an existing single-family residence. The premises are located at 43 Yale Terrace, Belleville, New York. It is identified on the Orangetown tax map as section 70.10, block 1, lot 22 in the R15 zoning district. Ms. McAndrew, can you please describe your project and application to us?
Yes, I will. Good evening. Essentially, what we're looking to do is expand off of the one garage that is in the driveway to add a second garage, and the existing top area would be an extension of the master bedroom, which would include a new master bath. The only other additions, as you can see in the plans, would be some internal work with windows and siding, and also an area like a front porch area that would come out. And of course, obviously with the stonework around the building itself.
Okay. How long have you lived in the home?
7 years.
How many people live in the house today?
2.
Are there other homes in the area that have similar setbacks?
I believe so. I'm not an expert at it, but I know that there was just recent construction across the street at 46 Yale Terrace that did something very similar to what we are looking to do. I've also seen other houses, similar design, 27 Yale Terrace, 39, 38 Yale Terrace. Probably before we were here at 42 Yale Terrace, and there could be a few others up and down the street.
Okay, and there's a letter from, it looks like your side yard neighbor.
Yeah, that's correct. As I believe it's Keith and Jessica Moore. I had no original verbal issue with talking with Keith, but then obviously the letter was submitted.
Okay, and I'm just going to address some of those concerns. So I understand the safety concern. So you're going to have to apply when you get a building permit. You have to comply with all the building department's safety conditions and things of that nature. So
that's fine.
To prevent people from, especially young children, to get injured. I don't think that requiring you to put up a 6-foot fence on the property line would help, is reasonable to prevent that. The buffer trees, I could see, especially from this photo, why his concern of buffers, the buffers, helpful to him. There's a New York State law, and Denise, you might have to help me with this. So he can prune trees he can prune trees back to his property line as long as he doesn't adversely affect the life of the shrubs with trees, right? Is that right?
Endanger the health.
Yeah, you can't damage the trees to a point where they would die. You can prune reasonably without causing the death of the tree.
Okay. So if we did propose a condition that if anything were to happen to these trees, I don't want to go too far out of the front yard. If we were to put a condition in that you had to maintain, say, 10-foot vegetative buffer from the front of your house, would you be willing to accept that?
Yes, we're willing to do that. We're amenable to that.
Yeah, and so vegetative buffer, again, we can see that car lights and things like that. I think that would help. And obviously not going too far out into the front yard to impede your view of traffic and things of that nature. Does anybody from the board have any questions?
Yeah, I'm still trying to, I mean, this is for only two people in a home, and I get the idea of growing and potentially whatever be the case, but did you guys review any other way of doing an addition? I mean, because it seems like the existing garage really is more about what's above it, right? I mean, could you have gone out the back to create this space because without having to get variances? Have you guys looked at that? Because this really isn't a hardship type case. So I'm not really sure, you know, what the significance is of the garage versus the rooms above it.
Well, the only thing I could mention about the garage is that the current existing garage is definitely a lot smaller than the normal garages today. So there was an idea of making that larger to fit both cars. I know that my wife works very difficult hours, and she usually leaves, especially in certain times when it's dark at night and in the morning. So I had a little safety concern there with her coming in. In terms of building out the back, there was an extension that was placed prior to this by the other owners. We did explore certain other plans, but this seemed to be the most reasonable considering the layout inside the house, accessible to the water lines, and especially in regards to putting in a master bathroom. The original bathroom in the master bedroom is in need of obviously an update in terms of size and a modernization. So that's the main reason why the plans were designed in this fashion.
All right, I'm still having a hard time with it, but I understand what you're saying, but, okay, thank you.
Okay.
What is the size of the new garage that you're putting in?
I'm sorry, say again.
The new garage. What is the size of your new garage?
I don't have the exact figure. I know off of the plans, I believe, so the original one was to expand slightly and match the size of the other one. I saw the plan there. You could see where the current garage looks and where the extension would be on it.
There's an internal width of 13 feet, 6 inches.
The existing garage is 10 feet, 8 inches, I believe. Is that what I'm reading? And then you're extending that out, or is that accurate? And then going the 13 feet on top of that on the new one.
I believe that's correct.
It's a total of 24 feet, 6 inches compared to 10 feet, 8. That's a huge, I'm reading that correctly.
I believe with that expansion out, it goes over the existing driveway that's there. There's a small basket.
But you are creating a very small side yard.
There would be a small side yard. It's a very awkward, the corner lot, the one that was questioned before, is kind of an awkward lot in that the design of the house faces the opposite way, even though it technically is on Yale Terrace. It does face Sterling. The backyard is technically the side yard. The backyard is the side yard, and it's also facing from Yale. It's also part of the front yard, depending on how you're looking at it from the road. Currently, right now, the shrubs that are on the one side in that one picture would be where the property line is, and then you can see where my driveway goes to, which is it still provides a considerable amount of space, in my opinion, I believe.
But you only have an 11-foot side yard. That's your side yard.
It would make it, I think, 11.37 proposed.
Yes.
Didn't we just do one across the street? Did your neighbor did new construction over there, right?
There was new construction at 46 Yale, and they also did the same thing with the side yard as they approached their neighbor to their right, my left. They expanded out in a very similar fashion with the garage.
Yeah, I don't know. I see those 10-foot side yards all up and down that street.
And like I said before, I'm not an expert in picking it out, but I did see, a handful more of very similar property and property lines with the side yard. A lot of this was probably prior to our purchase of the home. I know that a lot of these on this particular block, just from referencing my, my family's history, that when it was put in, they were on the smaller side, and a lot of the houses did do considerable expansion throughout. I guess it goes back to when they were the Robin Hill Estates.
Okay. Are there any additional questions from the board?
I'd just like to make a comment there. Because of the central location of the house on the property, which is beautiful, and the former additions by a former owner of the great room and the enlarged kitchen kind of defeated any future expansion of the bedroom area. And there's no way else to get another garage. A 10-foot-8 garage is a very small garage. A 13-foot garage is a modern type of garage. If the neighbors have no problem with the 12-foot, almost 12-foot side yard, it's set. Or
Who was that speaking?
That was Tommy Quinn. We kind of lost you at the end of
which
that
I
time.
understand in safety on the right side of the property. I don't see any of those. I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I
Tommy.
don't
Kind
know
of,
if you got that. Did you get that?
can you repeat the second
Must be
half?
my speaker. I'm sorry. I mean my microphone. Just basically that once the additions years ago had been put onto the back of the house, it kind of negated ever doing any other addition work to the house except for what the McAndrews want to do right now. So just keep that in mind. I like the fact the neighbors think it's going to improve the neighborhood. And I appreciate the fact that the neighbors want to worry about their property line buffer, barriers, safety over there. That's fine. But I don't see any other way to do anything further with the property because the house was originally centered in the lot, the original lot. So just a point.
Okay, thanks, Tom. All right, at this time, I'll open it up to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this matter?
Yes, yeah, I'd like to make a statement. My name is Sal Leopoldo. Can you hear me okay, or?
Yeah, we can, Sal.
All right.
What's your address? Hold on, Sal. What's your address, Sal?
I'm actually representing Jessica and Keith Moore, the property you're talking about right next door at 47 Yale Terrace. I'm actually Jessica's father.
Hold on. So, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
All right, thank you. All right, go ahead.
So I talked to my daughter and Keith, and they really don't have a problem with the addition. We are the only property that's going to be affected by this because like Mike has said, the backyard of 47 Yale Terrace abuts this. So while a lot of the homes in the neighborhood did have these additions and tighter side yards, they're side to side. So it really, this is a different appearance here. You know, they're in their backyard a lot, so this is coming almost right up to the property line. Extending the 6-foot fence was kind of a twofold thing. Really to kind of block some of this addition, since it's only going to be about 10 feet off the property line. The backyard of 47 Yale Terrace is not that deep, so it's going to be right on top of us there. So we thought maybe bringing the fence down would help, but I see Mr. Sullivan made a suggestion of a vegetative buffer, which is definitely another alternative. You had said 10 feet. Does that mean 10-foot wide vegetative buffer, or is that just something that can't be built on? Is that new plantings, or what's the suggestion there?
I was talking at the front of the house where the current trees are, because that was a concern that came into my letter.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking between those trees, right where the addition will be along that driveway. I mean, that's where, if you look at those photos again, right there, between that large oak and that basketball stand, I mean, that's where the addition is going to be. If you're going to do a vegetative buffer, really, the fence should be extended to that point, or the buffer should be installed at that point.
Well, there is some vegetative buffer here, it looks like, right?
Yeah, those drop leaves in the winter, I mean, and they aren't in great shape. About half of them are dying. It's not really shown in the picture. Those are actually on my daughter's property. That's just showing you how close that side yard is. So the addition is going to pretty much take up that whole blacktop driveway that you're seeing there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we just wanted to go on record with that. If anything can be done to really block this a little bit, so they're not in the backyard staring at this structure on top of them, we would appreciate it. And we do have a major concern of that large existing buffer, that those stay healthy. Don't be pruned back too much.
Right, and I think you heard my statement at the
Yes.
beginning. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Does anybody else from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody else from the public wish to be heard on this? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this? All right, Mr. and Mrs. McAndrews, do you want to rebut on this in any way? Do you want to, if that plan for a vegetative buffer were to extend for the length of the new addition, would you be opposed to that? So I'm not inclined to. I don't think we've ever made anybody build a 6-foot vinyl fence. But I mean, vegetative buffers are something that we do take into consideration.
I mean, at this time, I don't have any reservations against the buffer at all. I prefer that the neighbors have a buffer as well. I would more be concerned that having to put it in prior to construction.
No. Obviously no. It would be contingent on getting your certificate of occupancy. That doesn't go in day one. Those would get trampled and killed.
Yeah, that would be my concern with any kind of vegetative buffer or any kind of fence, and that it's going to put that in harm's way. I mean, we're willing to work with obviously any safety codes that are required to make sure that everybody's safe. And obviously, my wife and I are both in favor of safety, especially in regards to children who are playing. So that.
Okay.
Can I ask if we make this a condition, are you in agreement? I mean, will you agree to that? Because honestly, as one member of the board, I do think you're really coming very close to their backyard, and I do feel that there should be some type of a buffer there.
Condition after, are you saying a condition after construction?
Yes, I think that's what we agree with, because you don't want to plant something while you're doing all that construction there.
Can I just ask, can I ask a hypothetical? Does it have to be a vegetative buffer or could it be a fence?
We can give
I
it
know
up.
they have the extension of the fence, but
I'm sorry, I say the last part again.
Patricia, what were you saying there?
that I believe what the neighbors asked was that the fence be extended. There's a fence there at a certain point. Is that correct?
There's a fence that runs in and it stops before the shrubs. If that one picture will show you kind of an awkward fence that did not get extended by the prior owners. You can see there, it runs like kind of in an L-shaped direction, and then it ends at the shrubs there. My one question, I guess, would be if Mr. Sullivan could put back that other picture where the gap is in question.
Here?
That there, my concern is I see where the vegetative buffer is on the one side. I'm just saying that gap there, does that have to be a vegetative buffer, or can that also be, can it be in the form of a fence?
I mean, if you're, how about it could be either or.
I'm not saying I'm preferring a fence. I just want to know what the option is, if there's an option there.
If there's,
I'm not going to be able to, I would like to be able to look at and see, you know, obviously what the option is there. A buffer, we're amenable to a buffer of some sort.
yeah, so I'll say this, that your neighbor wants a fence, so I'll put in, and again, I mean, I know fences are expensive, that's why I'm reserved to put that in the record. But if we make a condition of a vegetative buffer and or a fence, would that be reasonable?
That would be reasonable, sure. We would be amenable to that.
Dan, is that for the length of the addition?
The length of the addition and 10 feet off the front of the house. Right, so right now there is a vegetative buffer off the front of the house, which is this. I just want to make sure that that gets retained.
Okay, thank you.
I got a good picture. Yeah, just like that, Debbie. Something like that. See that blue square?
I see it, thank you.
All right. Any further questions from the board?
I don't have any.
No.
I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Patricia?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Tony?
Aye.
Make a motion that based on the testimony heard by this board, the facts as presented in the aforementioned application submissions and in the records, this application is exempt from the environmental review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act pursuant to the Secret Regulation 617.5. So paragraph C, so paragraph 11, 12, 16, and 17. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Patricia? All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Patricia?
Aye.
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Tommy?
Aye.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the application for McAndrews. Having approved a similar side yard across the street I remember last year, the side yard is in keeping in that area in that area of town. So I agree with Tommy Quinn that the size of the garage of 10'8" is small. I think that it'd be an improvement to the neighborhood and the surrounding properties. I also want to put a condition in that a vegetative buffer and or fence will remain from the back of the addition to the front of the house and extending 10 feet into the front yard to limit the visibility from the driveway to the neighbor's backyard. Right now, there is a vegetative buffer that exists, and we just want to make sure that that is maintained. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Is that Mike?
Yep.
Okay.
That was Mike.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Mike?
Aye.
No?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Mr. and Ms. McAndrew. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
All right. All right. I make a motion to open Wiley.
Second.
I get a second?
Second.
That was Rob before. It was Rob before.
All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Rob?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And Tom?
Aye.
Thank you. Debbie, plug it in. Debbie?
I keep forgetting to turn the mic on. I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate and several letters of correspondence. The first dated March 27, 2020, from the Rockland County Sewer District Number 1. They do not object to the plans as shown. Signed, Joseph LaFiandra, Engineer 2. A memorandum from the Rockland County Planning Department saying that this is outside of their jurisdiction. An email from Dion Resiджaham from the Rockland County Highway Department, and he is saying that the proposed parcel is out of the jurisdiction of the Rockland County Highway Department. I have a letter from an abutting property owner, John J. Tormey III and Catherine Elizabeth Kate Tormey. And this says, my wife Kate Tormey and I live in the Pearl River house directly adjacent to and close proximity to the north of the above described Wiley residence. We are in support of the proposed two-story addition, which the Wiley family intends to add to the Wiley residence during the period of April through July. That didn't happen. With the following further understanding from my conversations with Mr. Wiley. 1, the addition of approximately 360 square feet is intended to be added to the rear and southern side of the Wiley residence, consisting of a dining room and den on the first floor, a new master bedroom and child's bedroom on the second floor, and a wraparound porch to replace their current front porch. The current plans, therefore, as furnished to me by Mr. Wiley, are next hereto for convenience of reference purposes as Exhibit A. 2, safety concerns. To assuage my safety-related concerns, mindful of the close proximity of the houses, Mr. Wiley has assured me that throughout the course of the work, his contractors will carefully observe A, all fire-related regulations and fire-related precautions otherwise, as well as B, all available measures to protect and preserve the large living trees between our respective houses, as well as its root system. 3, no conveyance. Naturally, as further assured to me by Mr. Wiley, A, all property borders will continue to be observed by the Wiley residents and its inhabitants and are not affected in any way by this letter of support. B, no easement, servitude, covenant, or other property interest should ever be deemed to be herein or hereby conveyed or acknowledged as such. C, all zoning code, town code, and other applicable laws, rules, and regulations will continue to be observed by the Wiley residents and its inhabitants as adopted by the town board of the town of Orangetown 7/7/1969 by local law number 4, 1969, published 7/10/1969, as amended, including, without limitation, Chapter 43 zoning. D, no waiver of any right or interest shall be deemed accorded or otherwise inferred as a result of this letter of support. And E, neither my wife nor I take or bear any responsibility ourselves individually or collectively for the building maintenance or compliance of the addition of the Wiley residence. Please do not hesitate to contact me directly if you require any further information. Attached to this letter is a rendering of the proposed addition, 2 pictures. I think you have them online. And Mr. Wiley just sent me an email with another letter that's not online because it just came to me now. Let me pull it up and I can read it to you. 1 second. This is dated the 1st of April, 2020. Dear Board, I am in support of the 2-story addition Ben and Stacey Wiley will be adding to their home at 161 Old Middletown Road in the spring of 2020. I understand this addition to be added to the rear of their home, comprising approximately 360 square feet, consisting of a dining room and den on the 1st floor and a new master bedroom and child's bedroom on the 2nd floor. I understand their current front porch will be changed to a wraparound porch. Sincerely, John S. McMaster, 165 Old Middletown Road. And that is it for correspondence.
Okay. Mr. Ben Wiley, do you swear and or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Tom?
I'm Ben, sorry.
No, sorry. Mr. Tom Quinn's gonna.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Tom, are you not ready? Do you want me to do this?
He's having trouble maybe.
Tom?
Voice isn't coming through.
Okay, CBA number 20. Are we okay?
Yep, you're good.
Nope.
Okay,
You just, yeah,
you're not kidding.
there you go.
Maybe Verizon turned me off.
No.
Can't hear you, Tommy.
How's that?
That's good.
Yes.
Okay. I'll try again.
Yeah, please.
Okay. ZBA number 20-31.
Yes.
Application of Ben Wiley for variances of zoning code, chapter 43 of the town of Orangetown Code, R15 district, group M, columns 9, side yard, 15 foot required, 4.9 foot existing, 4.8 foot proposed, and 10 total side yard, 30 foot required, 27.8 foot proposed, and 12 building height, 20 foot permitted, 23.5 foot proposed. Section 5.21E undersized lot applies. Premises are located at 161 Old Middletown Road, Pearl River, New York, and are identified on the Orangetown tax map as section 69.17, block 1, lot 26 in the R15 district. Mr. Wiley, if you could just walk us through your project briefly.
Sure. Thank you, by the way, board, for holding this during COVID. I know we're all kind of working in less than ideal conditions, so thanks. My wife Stacey and I moved to Pearl River, Orangetown in November 2017 to have a family. We wanted to move somewhere that was friendly, safe, and had really good schools. We now have a 2-year-old son. We're very lucky, and we would love to grow our family. So our current home at 161 Old Middletown Road is a 2-bedroom home. with a footprint of only 622 square feet. So that's a 2-bedroom home with a footprint of 622 square feet. As I said, we have 1 2-year-old. He's upstairs sleeping right now. And so our 2 bedrooms are currently used. My wife and I are in one and he's in the other. We'd love to grow our family with at least 1 additional child. And in order to accommodate our second child, we would love to build this addition. The addition would be added to the rear of our home. As you can see, it's a rather skinny and long piece of property. And so it only makes sense to build backwards, rather to the rear of the home. The extension would be approximately 360 square feet. So our home would still not be a very large home. And the first floor would consist of a dining room and a den, and on the second floor, an additional bedroom so that my wife and I could have a bedroom and each child could have a bedroom. So we've, our neighbor John Tormey was good enough to submit those aesthetic renderings. I just wanted to mention them again because we really like Old Middletown Road aesthetically. That's why we moved here. And we wanted to stress to the board that the work that we're going to do to the home, we feel is in keeping with the aesthetic vibe that is Old Middletown Road. It's very quaint. It feels almost rural, and we intend to keep that. So I just wanted to mention that right now. Those renderings were done by my brother, Seth Wiley, who is a resident of Pearl River. He's a New Jersey architect, and he's a Pearl River resident as well. We feel that the extension will be the extension of the work on the house will keep the vibe of the street. We feel that it will not be a detriment to any of the homes around us. We have the letters of support from both neighbors. We've been very open and communicative with both of the neighbors, trying to be as transparent as possible. And we feel that the benefits that we're seeking from this extension cannot be really done in any other way. If you look at the setbacks on the property, pretty much any addition you do to the home would require a variance. And so in closing, I just wanted to say that we love Pearl River. We love Old Middletown Road. We're very lucky to have great neighbors, and rather than moving, we want to do the work that we are requesting the variance for. So thanks very much.
Can I just mention there's the publication there's a change that has to be made. The total side yard should read 20.8 proposed, not 27.8.
I saw that too, Patricia. Yeah. Yeah, Tommy, this should be 20.8.
I think 27.8 is what exists.
Yeah. So the architect has it right on 20.8.
Yeah.
Here's the 4.8, and then here's the 16.
On the other side.
Also, I saw this, Tom. We typically try to identify all the variances in that side yard. I would just recommend this in whatever decision you make, the 1.7 feet to the existing side yard to the garage. That's the setback as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good presentation. I don't have any questions.
I don't either.
Any questions from the board?
Not for me.
Okay. Does anybody from the public wish to be heard on this?
This is Attorney John Tormey III here.
Great. John Tormey, can you please give us your address?
Yes, it's 157 Old Middletown Road in Pearl River.
Okay. And do you swear and or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I just want to affirm what Ben Wiley said. I support everything that he said in this proceeding. And I want to thank the board and each of its individual members for spending the time and attention, not just on this matter, but on the ones prior that I listened into incidentally. I appreciate the fact that you're taking that much time and attention to look at each individual application. I really wish that they were doing the same thing in Ramapo. They're not, but at least they're doing that in Orangetown. So thank you again. I don't have anything further other than my letter.
Great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the compliments. Anybody from the public wish to be heard? Anybody else? I feel like I hear somebody. Anybody from the public wish to be heard? Just close 3. Yes. Okay, does anybody from the public wish to be heard? I'm not hearing anything.
It almost looks like caller 3 is trying to say something.
All right. Yes, caller 3, if you want to say something, can you please just identify yourself, yes or no? All right, I guess caller 3 doesn't know they're caller 3. Yeah, well, I don't know, but they can't chat either.
Oh, I don't see.
I believe
Oh,
that was for me.
Mr. Torrey
Not
thinks
for
he's.
me, just sent a chat. I think I am caller 3 and I just muted, sorry.
Oh,
That's
okay.
good. Fair enough, good. All right, are there any further questions from the board?
No.
Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Patricia?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Thank you. I make a motion that based on the testimony heard by this board and the facts as presented in the aforementioned application submissions and in the records, this application is exempt from the environmental review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act pursuant to secret regulation 617.5 subparagraph C, subparagraph 11, 12, 16, and or 17. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Mike, thank you. All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Mike?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Tom? Tommy?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the applicant application of Ben Wiley. The variance is sought, for the reasons that it's very reasonable. It does not create any undesirable changes in the neighborhood. He's got the backing of his 2 neighbors, which is very important. They're doing the only benefit they can do on a 50-foot wide piece of property. I think they've done it very well. We'd like to make note of the fact that the total side yard is 20.8 foot, and that there is an existing 1.7 foot to the existing garage in the back. That should be noted. I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, Tom?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Tricia?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Dan Sullivan, aye. Great. Good luck, Mr. Wiley. Appreciate the kind words and good luck on your project.
Thank you.
Make a motion to open Valentine.
Second.
Patricia. All in favor, Dan Sullivan, aye. Patricia?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Tom? Rob?
Aye.
All right, Debbie.
I have a notarized affidavit of posting and a disclosure certificate and no other letters of correspondence.
All right, Mr. Keir Levesque, do you swear and or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Great, thank you. Rob, go ahead, please.
Okay. ZBA number 20-32, application of Billy and Megan Valentine for a variance from zoning code chapter 42 of the Orangetown Code. R15 district, section 3.12, group M, column 11, rear yard. 35 feet required, 30.4 feet proposed for a deck and an existing single-family residence. The premises are located at 9 Buttonwood Place, Blauvelt, New York, and are identified on the Orangetown tax map as section 69.20, block 1, lot 47 in the R15 zoning district. Okay. All right. Do we have, you want to just give us a little brief
Sure.
about the project?
This property, as you can see, is on the corner. It is a corner property, but it's unlike most corner properties that have 90-degree angles. This one is actually a sweeping curve that goes from one end to the other, which means that the house, which normally would have faced a perpendicular to a front yard, is sort of angled to the corner of the property itself. And at the same time, it is closer to the rear yard, which is where we need this variance. The deck is proposed in the rear, which happens to be the side yard of the adjacent property. It's a minimal variance that's requested, about 4.6 feet. We don't think that it's a detriment at all to the community and is in keeping with a lot of the properties around this area that have setbacks that are similar. And I'm watching Dan draw. And it's not going to be a detriment at all to this neighborhood.
So I had a question on this, Kier, and I guess you saw me drawing. Why wouldn't this be the rear yard?
Rick Oliver, the inspector who did the review, said that this property's rear yard was assigned previously. He didn't explain much more than that because I wanted that to be the rear yard where you've got the blue box, and then that the side yard. But he said this is the designated rear yard.
Sorry, you wouldn't need a variance if that were the rear yard, right?
Exactly.
Do we have any documentation on where Rick came up with that?
I have none. He didn't explain it any further.
I don't have any. And was there ever any variances granted on this lot?
Not that I'm aware of.
The applicant usually gets to name the yards.
That's what I thought.
This happened once before and for a house in Pearl River. And the board determined that they were changing the yards. Your call.
Denise, I think that we can probably go on record and ask the applicant to identify what he wants his rear yard is and then refund him his money. I think this is just crazy, right? I mean, I want to see some. I don't know where.
Yeah, I didn't ask to see if there was any other variances, which Debbie knows I always do. I think that other property you were talking about was on Griffith. Am I wrong? Griffith Place in Pearl River?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was on Griffith.
And I don't know of
any
any,
money.
yeah, and I don't know of any special provision with this kind of angled curve on the property that would require that to be a rear yard rather than a
The only
side.
thing the code says, Denise, is if there's two front yards, the applicant gets to name their yard, the rear yard and the side yard. Once they name it, it stays that.
Yes.
But the way this house is, it wouldn't have needed any variances, no matter whether it was side or rear. So I don't know how they determined that they have the right to name the yards.
I don't know either.
I
can ask.
We need to, can we ask the question? I mean, I hate to see someone come back, but maybe he has information we don't have.
Well, ultimately, the board makes the decisions, though.
Yeah, but I can't make a decision if, in my opinion, if there's information out there that named it at another time.
But even if it did, it didn't need a variance. 40 feet on a rear yard wouldn't have needed a variance if that was the rear.
Too bad Jane's not on anymore. She was on a minute ago.
Was she?
Or an hour ago. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
And it contingent on the fact that we find out if it was previously named?
Yeah,
That house, I mean, I think that house has looked the same probably since 1950, whatever, whenever it was built. I don't think anything has been added to it.
yeah,
I
I mean,
drive by there.
It didn't look like anything was added to it at all.
And it looks great. It looks way better than probably, before you bought, but
so I think Patricia, you mentioned something that sounds like a decent approach for this, right?
Well, I think we want to make sure that it wasn't previously named, but if it wasn't, then we could ask the applicant to choose one now, and then based on whatever comes out of the investigation, it could be changed to the applicant's wish right now or desire.
So do we move forward as if we're approving the variance? Well, again, Robbie, it's your call. But if we were to move forward with approving the variance and then just make it contingent on, if the building department can come up with some documentation of where the previous owner or this owner has identified what his side or rear yard is, then at least he can move forward with his variance. However, if they're unable to, I'd like to see, this application just pulled out and he can identify what his rear yard is. I mean, that's really how we look at this, and he should get his money back, in my opinion.
Kier, did he say that to you verbally or put it in an email?
I called him and asked the question. Mute this. And that's what he told me. I said, why can't the left side be the side yard? And he said, because it's already been designated as the rear yard.
By who?
Yeah.
He didn't answer that question. You see in his denial what he wrote, which simply is, we need a rear yard setback.
Right.
I mean, I hate to do this. Maybe the best approach is here to ask us for a continuance, and the building department has to provide that documentation. They can't just say that somebody did it prior. I mean, I can't believe they're doing this. So would you be opposed to that? I don't think.
Well, I'm wondering if the client would even care if the designated rear yard is what the building department has said, and just, grant him the variance if that's the board's inclination.
Well, it's really not, right? So, I mean, one of the main reasons or factors for the zoning board is to only approve required variances and to the most minimum as possible.
I'm going to look at, my file and see what, if there's anything that we did that precipitated that. So when we added the addition, built the addition, we had to submit a site plan or a cover sheet, I should say. I'm going to open up that drawing and see if we had a rear yard designated.
I mean, even such, plans are meant to change. And they should change for the better as they are in the code. And I would expect that a building inspector would identify that, hey, you should use that as the rear yard instead of the side, because nobody's determined that it was.
So
I know
original application, the yard that we're asking the variance for was designated as a rear yard, and the larger yard was designated as a side yard.
Where they got it from.
For the addition, yes. In the original building permit application. So if that's where that came from, Rick didn't articulate that.
Right. Rick's not wrong.
You're saying you found that?
Yeah, I have we filed, when we filed for the addition,
Okay,
the drawing is exactly this drawing, except that the deck is not on the drawing. And the bulk table is the same,
okay,
designating this rear yard where we want the variance to be the rear yard. And if Rick is telling me, and he didn't verbalize it this way, but if Rick said that this is now the designated rear yard because the applicant filed for a building permit and designated that as a rear yard, then that's where this is all coming from.
I see.
Yeah, once
I'm
an
trying to-
Resolved.
once an applicant designates it on another set of plans, it stays that way. They can't flip flop back and forth.
Okay, fair enough.
That may be exactly what really happened.
Yeah, okay.
Great.
That makes sense.
Good.
That does make sense.
At least we know.
Yeah. All right, I think we beat that.
Solve that problem.
Are there any further questions from the board?
No.
Does anybody from the public wish to be heard? Anybody from the public wish to be heard? Does anybody from the public wish to be heard? Hearing none and no other comments from the board, I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor, Dan, Patricia,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Rob?
Aye.
Great. I make a motion that based upon the testimony heard by this board and the facts as presented, the aforementioned application submissions and in the records, this application is exempt from environmental review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act pursuant to SECRE Regulation 617.5, subparagraph C, subparagraph 11, 12, 16, and or 17. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, Dan, aye. Patricia,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Rob.
Aye.
All right. Rob, you want to make a motion on this?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the variance for Mr. and Mrs. Valentine. It's not very substantial, and in my mind, I don't believe it has any adverse effect to the surrounding area and or change, what everyone else in the area does.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Dan, aye. Patricia,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Rob.
Aye.
Great. Thank you very much, Kira. Have a good evening.
Thank you. I want to voice the same opinion that Mr. Torme did earlier, that it's wonderful to have this board holding proceedings and hearings and doing it in such a professional manner. Good job, everybody. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kira.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I make a motion to close the hearing. Can I get a second?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Dan, aye. Patricia,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Rob.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
This
Take care,
conference
everybody.